The ANC Elective Congress comes at a time when the party is battling internal divisions. The race to replace current President Jacob Zuma has been bitter, causing deep rifts in the ANC, weakening the rand and unnerving investors. Party members have challenged the validity of provincial elective conferences in court, and some regional meetings have been disrupted by violence. Despite this, however, the ANC is hoping to emerge united after this Congress.
It's not a magic of the individual. It's a function of engagement in the conference itself, try to unify the body of the ANC. Because the unity is not the unity of leaders, it's the unity of the body of the ANC.
At least one political analyst is concerned, pointing to the deeply divided factions within the party.
It's so difficult to negotiate a compromise between the two camps for the reasons that the level of hostility is too deep and it looks a bit balanced and too close to core. It also has difficult implications for the outcome of the Congress and what is likely to happen after the Congress, whether whoever wins will be able to unify the ANC and how they will unify the ANC. And that's also raised serious implications for the state, because if the ruling party is divided, it basically divides the state and affects how the state functions.
It's the first time the ANC has fielded more than two presidential candidates. It's also a hotly contested election, with front-runners current Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa and Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the former chairperson of the African Union Commission. The 54th ANC Elective Conference is important for a number of reasons, including electing a leadership that will fix the economy and reignite the nation-building project. South Africans will be keenly watching the outcome of the conference. Yolisa Njamela, CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Two candidates have so far emerged as the frontrunners in the contest for ANC's top leadership. CGTN's Sumitra Nydoo takes a closer look at the strengths of these top candidates.
Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, President Jacob Zuma's ex-wife, is a top contender for the new ANC president post.
She had a fairly decent record as the minister in South Africa. And when she went to the African Union, of course, that the Agenda 2063 comes under her belt is also an achievement, even though she has received mixed reviews for her performance in the African Union.
But if elected, Dlamini Zuma is likely to bring with her many of the old guard.
Dlamini Zuma has been running on a platform of radical economic transformation. Under her leadership, what needs to emerge is an economic logic that is counter-hegemonic, which counters the dominant interests in the economy today.
Cyril Ramaphosa is favored by business and investors.
He represents the opposite of the candidate of corruption and state capture. And that candidate of corruption and state capture is Dlamini Zuma. If Ramaphosa wins, and if my information is correct, investors who have already factored in, by the way, the possibility of a Ramaphosa victory, are queuing to invest in South Africa.
But Ramaphosa's handling of Marikana in 2012, in which 34 miners were gunned down by South African police, will forever haunt him.
His intervention, though indirect, did not demonstrate that compassion for the downtrodden workers, because a more balanced approach to say, let's resolve this crisis, but at the same time, let's be fair to workers. That's where I've come from myself. It didn't come out clearly. So you'll have to do a lot to get back into that base.
This conference is being seen as a watershed moment for South Africa. New leadership could change the country's fortunes, but this may still be a long way off.
What is critical is the margin of victory. If it is close, whoever wins comes out of the conference with a weak mandate and may therefore not be able to deliver on the campaign promises when it comes to economic change.
The fight is on for ANC president, but whoever takes over will have to deal with years of systemic failures that have left the economy in tatters. Sumitra, Nydoo, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Let's get you more on this from CGTN's Yolisa Njamela, who joins us on the phone from Nasrec Showgrounds in Soweto. Yolisa, what's the significance of this ANC gathering?
Well, but you know, ANC is the ruling party in South Africa, as you would know, of course, and every 5 years the party gets together. First, for policy review and formulation, and of course to elect a new executive leadership that will chart the way forward for the next 5 years. It's also a gathering that is looked at very closely by investors. You remember that South Africa has been downgraded by ratings agencies this year. So stability in the ANC, as I've already mentioned, means stability in the country. And the ruling party has been experiencing turmoil within for a number of years now. Leadership squabbles have created a lot of animosity within comrades and comrades taking each other to court. For instance, as it stands now, the start of the conference has been delayed. That, of course, is a result of some disputed provincial conferences. You remember, as I mentioned, that comrades taking each other to court because of disputed provincial conferences, elective conferences. The Court of Law have announced 2 of those provincial conferences, and that essentially means that some delegates will no longer participate in this conference. Gwede Mantashe, the Secretary General of the ANC, addressed us as a media about an hour ago, articulating the fact that the conference will go ahead. It's critical that it does go ahead, and the candidates whose participation has been announced will now just merely be guests at this conference. But it doesn't mean that the conference will not go on and they will not elect the leadership. It will indeed go on.
2 frontrunners have emerged to succeed President Zuma at the helm of the ANC and the country later on. What more can you tell us about this leadership battle?
Well, for starters, it's the first time that the ANC has fielded more than 2 presidential candidates. In fact, they had 7 presidential candidates. We included 3 female candidates, and it's a first for the ANC, and in fact, for the country in terms of politics. It's also a very hotly contested election, as you mentioned right there, that with the front runners being the current deputy president, Cyril Ramaphosa, and Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, the former chair of AU. I mean, there have been factional battles within the ANC, with each side taking, with many delegates taking a side of each delegate, whether it be, or rather each presidential candidate, whether it be Ramaphosa or Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. There's been a lot of attempts, many attempts from the leadership to unite the 2 so that one can deputize. In fact, President Jacob Zuma at the policy conference in June this year mentioned that, in fact, the best would be whoever else is running, if they lose, it's not a winner takes all. The other one who loses deputizes for the other one. In fact, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has already rejected that. He's already told a whole lot of us in the media that he is not interested in deputizing for Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. Dlamini-Zuma has been mum whenever we've asked her about those. So it's been quite a fierce battle getting to this point, but many delegates and generally in the country and onlookers hoping that when the ANC is done with this conference, it will emerge united.
All right, Yolisa Njamela on the line from Soweto. Thank you.